Welcome to episode 8 of Space Wars. Let's get into it. So, last episode, we saw some stuff happen on the moon with the whole Russian and Chinese collapse. And when we go to Earth, we can see that Russia and China, mainly Russia's had their civil war, and China is out of space. As you can see, they don't have a color. But we're going to be focusing on this planet today because how does China have control over this area when they don't have a colony here? Well, they don't, is the simple answer to that. And we can remove the rocket. Yeah. And this is what the planet looks like. And these countries are all going to form like a coalition against the space powers of Deimos because they do very much agree that Deimos belongs. Does they all these powers, all these countries, that specifically Nigeria, Brazil, Algeria, and the two new countries all believe that the rest of these powers, so France, India, and the United States, and Germany, should not have their space colonies here. They already have the moon, yeah, and Mars, so why should they be here? So that a coalition is going to be formed on these areas, and the Green Country, after a couple years, is going to be invading the Americans over in Deimos. It will be very quick to advance as this planet or moon is very small. And with the Green Country, the Algerians are also going to be invading the Americans on this small moon. And also the Nigerians are going to be invading India alongside the rest of these countries, these powers, specifically Algeria, as it will be cutting these two countries off, and India loses their capital over in space. In Brazil, they are going to be mainly not focusing on India, but they will be focusing on the German colony over here, as the Germans will be sending that will be losing all their forces. And well, Brazilians are prideful and they just lose. So then the French invasion, as the Nigerians will be invading into these French areas, and well, France is going to fall. Yeah. And well, then America is very weak currently, and it will be losing its capital. And then we can look at the peace treaty, where all these countries will be kicked out of Deimos. And this is the treaty, as all these countries are kicked off of Deimos. And well, when we look over, yeah, these two countries will be deciding to leave for some reason. And these two green new countries are actually going to decide to unite with each other as they leave the Triangle Alliance, feeling like they didn't really get too much, specifically the blue country. In these three countries here, Nigeria, Algeria, yeah, as this area is going to break away from Nigeria, and they don't really worry. But these colonies here are just, well, collapsing. As this alliance is going to break up on Deimos, and these countries are quickly collapsing. When we go back to Earth, if I can get rid of these 1,000,005 layers, we can see that Earth is having a bunch of issues in these countries. Specifically, over here, partially as Uruguay breaks away from Brazil, and so does the Paraguayan area, and a bunch of areas in the Amazon rainforest will be breaking away from Brazil. And also, Libya will be breaking away from Algeria, and so will parts of Chad and other parts of Africa. And while these revolutions are really powerful, as they are beating back these rebellions, as when we go back to these planets here, we can see that a new conflict is coming back on space somehow. As these two small groups here, specifically the Blue Country, which is looking to control all of Deimos and basically become the Deimos planet, is going to be going ahead and invading these two. As the Green Country is also going to be sending the troops mainly into Algeria, but also some into Brazil, and the Blue Country is focused on every single side, as they have like 40 billion. They're on all sides. As these countries will be invading, and these areas are just going to be going away. When we go back to Earth, what Yeah, that's weird. But we can see that the rebellions are just spreading. But Nigeria is going to be able to push back over in these African areas here. And Brazil is not doing well at all, as they will be losing their colonies. As these Amazonian areas will be forced to just breaking away, and Brasilia is lost. And with that, Brazil surrenders, which when we go back to Deimos, if I can find it, yeah, it's super far up, we can see that Brazil just surrenders. Yeah, they just fully surrender for some reason. Yeah. As Brazil will be just surrendering all of their space colonies over to the blue country. And these countries don't really matter too much on where they're located. But does Brazil have any other colonies? They have a moon colony. Yeah. We're gonna be, yeah, moon colony. When we look at this moon colony, wrong layer, that's the Earth. When we look at this moon colony, we're gonna see that it breaks away as well. And Brazil just basically loses all their control. And so do these other two nations here, as well, Nigeria and Algeria are going to be forced to leave the rockets. As Nigeria's colony breaks, so that's we make this one blue and this one green. Then what will Nigeria's color be? Let's do a bright red color. Yeah. And while these are now new independent nations, let's do it like a very bright teal color, actually. Yeah. That's the moon map. The new one looks like this. And we can go back to Earth. As Earth is having more and more civil wars in these areas, with Brazil gone, Nigeria is going to be very quick to just disappear. And Nigeria loses all of its forces. As other countries such as France are going to join in on this war in order to take its areas and take back some of the old colonies. And they do that successfully. And well, these countries don't have any more space colonies. Oh wait, I forgot about you. Wait, Germany still here? Yeah. We'll just look at that later. Yeah. As we can see, these areas have collapsed. And as the only ones left are the Nigerians. And the Nigerians are just completely collapsing with other space organizations finding the rebels. And eventually Nigeria is going to be forced to surrender. And we can look at a peace treaty. And this is the peace treaty. As we can see, these countries don't exist, and France have taken part of its colony. And, well, these areas are divided, and the moon is very blue. And then oh wait, there's no changes. Yeah, big changes on Deimos. And another thing that's going to happen right after this is, well, yeah, this country joins up. And, well, Deimos is completely blue. And, the rocket layer, there is none. I guess there won't be anything happening here anytime soon, so we can close that and go back to Earth. Some more things are happening on Earth. France has gained a lot of power recently. Is there really this many? Only these many powers? That's kind of crazy. Yeah. Let's talk about China, as China, with its instability, is going to be collapsing as it's going into a civil war, as the Manchurian areas, which want to start their own space funds, are breaking away. And also the Xinjiang area, and also Tibet is breaking away. And also giant parts of South China are also breaking away from the Republic of China, or the People's Republic of China, Communist China. As all these rebellions will be pushing towards China. And China's basically lost already. South China, southern parts of China, they're going to fight back, and more rebellions are going to support the Chinese dictators. And, well, it eventually goes sort of well as they defeat the Manchurians. But the rest of these rebellions are not, well, as Beijing is taken. And China just collapses. And we can look at a peace treaty, which is actually very simple. Because, well, China just gets a new government. And this government is thinking of new plans. These new plans are to rebuild the space empire and discover new planets. They announced to their country, that only their country, that they will be the first on Venus. That's maybe might go there next. That's their plan. And that is going to do it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Space Wars. See you in the next episode, and bye!